This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, Joe Castello back with you. WFO Dodge Nationals at Indy, presented by Pennzoil in the books. We're going to talk about the results. We've got NHRA's Alan Reinhart going to be joining us just seconds from now, as is the case normally here on Tuesdays. And it's going to be real tough to do a normal WFO show on this given occasion. We'll talk about the big wins. Steve Torrence, Ron Capps, Jeg Coughlin, Angel. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, we've got Ron Capps and Angel scheduled to join us, talk about, big race wins in their career. In the future, we'll reach out to Jeg and Steve-O, but honestly, race wins and fun had at the racetrack, all taking a back seat to the news that there was a road accident after the race involving Dom Lagana and Richie Crampton, Jake Sanders, some just really great people, wonderful guys, hardworking guys, known guys in our sport that we love. We love. Like, these are great people, and heavy hearts. They're obviously going through a very challenging time right now. It's not my place to characterize, it or what happened or their current situation, other than that I'm thinking about all of them, and I know the extended NHRA drag racing community is as well. And, your thoughts, your prayers, your hope, whatever it is that you do in these difficult times to summon positive energy for a cause, now's the time. Please do that. Please do that. And, these are people that we're close with, going around to all these races and seeing people work hard and fight in competition for accolades and a Wally trophy and something we all believe in and consider important, and getting to know them and to have something like this occur from the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows, just moments later, is just a terrible, terrible tragedy. And we all need to unite and summon that positive energy. That having been said, I think about the people who are involved, and, we do the show, and we're going to do the show. We're going to talk about the race, and we're going to move forward, because that is really all we can do in this circumstance. And so, to Dom, we're with you, buddy. Thank you for, being a friend and being so good to us, me personally, over the years. Anything that I've asked, yeah, come over, bring the audience into my trailer, whatever it has been. It's a very challenging time right now. And, we'll update you as best as we can when we get those updates along the way. Let's dive right in. We've got sponsors, WFO sponsors, very helpful. We'll tell you about them later. But right now, let's bring in someone who has been, equally great and gracious to us, WFO, to me. Someone that I look to as a mentor in many challenging times, many positive times as an announcer, but also in moments like this, because he's been through it, having done this, circus of speed for 30 years or so. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart. Alan, welcome back to WFO. Thank you. I wish it was under more positive circumstances.
Yeah, I do as well. It's Sunday night when the race was over. I couldn't help but think a couple of things. That one, Angel winning, it's going to be a fun winter view, right? A fun Tuesday talking about something that hadn't happened in a long time. Ron Capps finally completing a goal. Indy was the only race on tour where he had not yet won, and he wanted it bad. You could tell he'd been close a couple of times. And another one, it's like, this is going to be a fun week. This is going to be a great celebration week. And then I actually didn't hear the news until Monday. I was getting off the plane at home when I got a text, and that was the first that I'd heard about it. And, as you alluded to it, basically it was a road accident on Sunday night. Three guys had left the racetrack, were headed either back home or back to the shop or whatever happened, wherever they were going. Accident and very severe injuries. And I'm with you. I want to send all of my best thoughts and all of my good wishes back to all three of those guys. I know Richie and Dom very well. I know Jake a little bit. We're certainly not best buddies, but it doesn't matter. He's a member of the family. And the one thing you learn when you come out here and start spending regular time on the road is that it is family. And guys that you'll watch go at each other's throats on the starting line. What do you mean? He's in trouble. He's got a problem. I'm here. What can I do to help? Let's get everybody through this and move on down the road. And it's just very difficult. It's going to be a long recovery from what I've understood, but the racing community is going to stand by our own, and we'll be there for them, whatever they need.
Yeah, well, exactly. And, Jake, so I got to know these guys. Of course, the Lagana brothers are a known commodity. Their dad, the Twilight Zone drag racing, from afar as fans. But one weekend I was up at US 131 when they were there for one of their big summer events, and Dom was there, and Bob Zelag noticed me as, NHRA announcer Joe, and he's like, hey, come in here, like hang with us. And so they treated me so great. And that's how I got to know Dominic, much better, and Jake and all the guys. Like there's a crew of guys that go and help. And that's how they learn nitro, and they work, and then they get jobs elsewhere. And it's just been amazing to watch that whole crew go from, band of nitro ninjas to world champions, and take their methods and prove the concept. And it's just been amazing what Billy and Mama Kay and Steve, and they won the race. They were winners as an organization. And that little road on the back, you turn out of the track in the rear and you head right, you go back, and it's next thing you know, you're in Brownsburg, Nitro Alley. I've made that run a few times by mistake. Like I covering the US Nationals for WFO, like forgot something at the hotel, Alan, and had to go blasting, back and forth down that little road, cornfield, big yard, that kind of stuff. And I know exactly, what the road they were traveling. And it just, it's a terrible situation. Just hoping for positive energy and as best of news as is possible for all of them. And, obviously we can't reveal anything. I know fans want to know as much detail as possible. That's not going to happen, but with the greatest respect to everyone. And it's sad.
It is public knowledge that Jake was released from the hospital and he was sent home to convalesce. So that is certainly good news. And aside from that, I'm with you. I don't have any information that's public that I can share. Everything I know is what I read on the internet, and anybody can do a Google search and come up with that if they really want to. So,
exactly.
I'm just with you, sending my best wishes. It's interesting. It was your story about Dom. I've known Bobby fairly well for a while. He's been a go-to guy for me when I had questions or I was doing something, and when he was driving the car. And when Dom started driving, in my world, he was always kind of like Bobby's little brother.
Right.
We weren't best buddies. He was just Bobby's little brother. And certainly he could drive a race car, and certainly he was knowledgeable, but he was still just Bobby's little brother. And last year, I can't remember what race it was, someplace where Bobby was down for doing nitro school. And he said, hey, look, he said, I'm helping Scott and I'm doing whatever. And he said, would you mind if my brother fills in for me? And I got to tell you, my first thought was, I don't know.
Right.
I know he knows the stuff. And for Bobby, he's like, look, I really just have so much. He said, he'll do a good job for you, I promise. And I went, yeah, okay, you know what? Fine. We'll get through this, whatever. Some guys are better than others, but we always seem to get through it. Nobody throws tomatoes at us. And Dom came out, and I was really surprised, not at his knowledge, I knew that, but how well he was able to communicate. When we would talk about various stuff, and he would pick right up on my thought and run. When somebody in the crowd would ask a question about something, he has a very intimate knowledge of these cars, but the ability that he had to explain it where it would make sense, but it wasn't like, okay, this is a gasket. You know what a gasket does, right? But the ability he had to take the knowledge and impart it, I was very impressed with, to the point that this year when I was putting my nitro school schedule together, originally when we thought we were going to do everything like we normally do, he was a star. We're going to get Dom back involved in this because he was really good at it. And I got to know him a little bit better there, but it just a really good guy. And as well as I do from being out there, the number of times when a underfunded team or a part-time team or, somebody that's just trying to scrape by and would say, the Lagana brothers came over and they helped me, or they showed me this, or they pointed me, or they loaned me something, and that's just the kind of guys they were. They remember when they were the team that had no budget, that had no parts, that literally had no trailer. At one point it was a top fuel car on a ramp truck, if you remember that far back, and I do. But they remember being that team and being in the position now where they could help. They always just wanted to help because they remember what it was like to be on the other side of the fence. So Just it's awful. And Richie just celebrated his 40th birthday. I was fortunate to be at the shop when they were having cake and doing stuff, and we all got to sing to him. And I've known Richie basically as long as he's been here, pretty much. And again, the guy, incredible fabricator. Whether it's welding, whether it's machining, whether it's whatever, and certainly not a bad driver, right? When you win 10 national events in Gainesville back to back, and he was slated to make his first start as an alcohol funny car driver coming up to the U.S. Nationals in a couple of weeks. And the whole thing is just tragic. At this point, though, the only thing I want is for all three of those guys to get better. The rest of it, I don't care that much about. Let's just get all three of those guys. Let's get them better.
And if we're going to try to make the turn, like we've all said, it's a tragedy. It's terrible. We're very upset. Waking up today, like the first thought that enters my mind. And I agree. I found out yesterday. But all fighters, all tough as nails. And if any couple of people that we know are going to be able to summon whatever it takes to get through these difficult and challenging times, I got my money on these guys. And that's what I'm hoping for. And so we shall see. But yeah. And times will come for there may be things to do, et cetera, where we can be a little more active, but yeah. And the car, obviously that's a very well-known car that they were in, and we all loved it. And it was Richie's like labor of love. We know that came from his inside his, like he created it, and just a very tough deal, but we'll leave it there. We'll move forward. We all know, everybody knows what we're talking about, but you did mention like this was a very, up to that moment, it was a very, very unique and interesting event. You mentioned Angel, just like top to bottom, great racing, great storylines. We'll start off with Top Fuel, and we'll give the results as we always do, where Steve Torrance, Torrance goes out there over Terry McMillan, kind of a bizarre, unconventional final round where Terry, 234, I feel really terrible for Terry. Steve pedaled the car like 3 or 4 times, showed his no-quit champion demeanor right there, like willing the car to the finish line, getting a win and earning it. I did not hear Terry, his explanation, probably just missed it, but good weekend for those two, Leah and Doug in the semis, but Steve Torrance winning the race and delivering another victory for Capco.
Yeah, I mean, Steve's team did what they needed to do. They qualified in the number 2 spot, and they actually owed Terry a thank you for that on Saturday night. And I said as much when it happened, because Steve was low ET in the first session. When we're coming down towards the end of the second session, with only 2 sessions, that sets the field. Steve was number 1. Billy was right in the middle of the field. So they were looking at a potential round 2 matchup if they both stayed there. Terry McMillan took the top spot, his first ever number 1. And literally did Steve a favor, because at that point he put Steve and Billy on opposite sides of the ladder so they wouldn't race until the final. Now, it didn't work out that way, but at the moment, it sure looked like it was helpful for the Capco team. And then they both make their way to the final round. And Terry McMillan took it 100% on his shoulders. He said, I lost concentration and I cost my team the win. And that was his explanation. No excuse. No, just look, I'm the one that messed up. I cost my team that win. But he's got a really good race car. He's got really good confidence right now. And when you run 5:27 and win on a hole shot, you go, okay, what? Yeah. And Steve apparently missed the win light, because he came around the corner at the end of the racetrack and he was really upset that he had lost the race. And then somebody handed him the time slip and he went, oh, wait, what? And then all of a sudden, you flip the switch and all of a sudden he was euphoric about it. But one thing I think bears an honorable mention, Leah Pruitt right now has got a really good race car. I mean, she is constantly, semifinals, constant. She's got a solid car. And I think, to put it in NASCAR terms, if you're top 5 every week, at some point you're going to start breaking through and getting those wins. But she's got a good race car right now. Doug obviously has still got a great race car. But those Capco boys, when they get on a roll, they get on a roll. And we've seen it before. When you need to be good, you're good. When you need a little good fortune, you get a little good fortune. And whatever it is that makes the racing gods do that, right now they look like they're smiling on Steve again, as long as they're on the racetrack.
Yeah, the footage of Steve not really understanding, and it makes sense. You're on off the throttle, 11,000 horsepower beast. The tires are puffing like a little puff of smoke, Here comes Terry. Terry blows up. Like, what a final round. We could really analyze that thing for hours, how much action was going on in that 4-second stint. But Doug leads the points 83 over Steve, 89 over Leah, just to put a number to what you're saying, that Leah is right in the mix, and everyone needs to always be reminded, no countdown, and really an undefined kind of amorphous end to the season. So we're seeing who's in the mix already. Billy 146 back, had that little problem early on. Justin Ashley, Terry McMillan, 163 back. Bottom line, though, now I have to think about, Team Capco. And if they didn't have motivation before, which of course they did and they do, and that's what they are, they're a motivated team. Now they're racing for something even more significant, right? They're racing for their buddy. They're racing for their friend. They're racing for a team family member. And that's like, what can they do? They can go out and win races for Dom and for that team. And I really expect them to do that. Like, it's amazing what they have put together over there, and fun, entertaining races. They do it the right way. They do it because they love it. And another win for Team Capco, another big Indy win, and a good job by all of them. Funny car, you mentioned Caps. First of all, before we talk about the race day activity, Caps. I wake up on Sunday morning, Alan, and I decided, and I'm going to be real candid with you, this sucks. I'm here. And there's racing going on in Indy, and I'm here. And, I want to help the team, man. I feel like I got a team and I'm on injured reserve or something, right? And it's just very frustrating. So I decided to do a pre-race show. And, there was not a lot of time to promote it. 9:30 to 10. You guys came on at 10. And so from 9:30 to 10, we did WFO, Dodge Nationals, presented by Pennzoil pre-race show. And we broke down the ladders and we did the matchups. And I fired off with 10 minutes to showtime, 2 texts. Ron Capps, Matt Hartford. Could I get 2 A-list guests in 10 minutes to be on a pre-race show that was conceived really 20 minutes before that? And the answer is yes. Capps jumps on immediately, brings us into the war room, shows us Tobler, says what's up, brings us all around. Capps, we talked about his, previous struggles running the DSR teammates, talked about the matchup against Wilk, how tough that is. And he goes on to win the race. And so I want to make a big thing about that, because who does that? Who does right before a race? I know there was no pre-race and maybe big responsibilities and stuff, but still, Capps allowing us into the bubble of intensity to do our stuff and helpful. And he'll be on tomorrow. And Hartford, same deal. And they both won first round, by the way, which makes me very nervous. Oh my God, I invade these guys' personal space. They better win first round. And sure enough, Capps goes on to win the race, proving being on the WFO pre-race show is obviously very good luck. But race day, Capps gets an Indy win. Yeah, some people are going to put an asterisk there, but I don't care. I count it. Every track. He's winning every track.
I was going to ask you that, because, picture this. If we ran 4 races in a row in Atlanta,
yeah,
and Tony Schumacher won one of them,
yeah,
would it count?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he's won it. He's won at Lucas Oil Raceway Indy, but he hadn't won the U.S. Nationals. Does it still count? It's like the whole 350, the 350 discussion that was going on in earnest after it was all over with.
Yeah.
At the end of Indy 1, Don Schumacher Racing stands at 348 wins. At Indy 2, it rained before we ran the final. Matt Hagan is going to race Jack Beckman for the win.
Yes.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Now, they still are at 348. They are guaranteed to win that race, but it hasn't happened yet. Ron Capps wins. Is that 350?
Yes, sure.
That's the debate. Okay, who won 349?
DSR. Well,
who?
To be determined. TV.
Well, then it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
You know, just like you don't give the points. You don't. If there's 10 seconds to go in the Super Bowl and it's 37-3, do you go, okay, let's just give them the trophy? No, you got to wait till the 10 seconds clicks off.
Right.
And so I don't know. In my mind, whoever wins that matchup Saturday night at the U.S. Nationals is going to be 350, because in chronological order, Ron Capps won his race before either Hagan or Beckman wins that race. So that's my mind.
And that's the right way to do it. As much as Caps obviously would love to be 350, and the fact is that race hasn't happened yet until it happens. And for all we know, the asteroid, giant meteor, is coming right at us. It may never happen. We don't know. And so what you're saying, I think, is the statistically accurate way to record the score. But isn't this fun for like all the note takers, like when those who keep the books, the Lewis Blooms of the stat world? Now we've got addendum after addendum. Oh, I still got you.
I lost you.
No, I don't know. I got you. How about the audience out there? Can the audience hear me? I am. I'm still working. Huh. Oh, let me kick you out and bring you back, Alan. Let me kick you out and bring you back. How about the WFO universe? Can you guys hear me? I think so. But then again, I haven't seen a new comment for a few seconds, so I'm going to keep talking until that. All good, Joe. Thank you very much, Kev. Thank you very much. For whatever reason, Alan got bumped out. What about hearing, though? I still see you. All good. I can hear both of you. So it's on Alan's end. That's why I just kicked him out, because I just assumed it's on his end. But you never know. Bottom line, though, DSR. Rolling. Okay. Alan, are you back?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. You just disappeared. And I've got my phone on Do Not Disturb. So,
Okay.
in years past, something had happened and it would disconnect it. So I don't know what happened. I apologize.
Long story. No. It's the internet. It's imperfect. It's that giant meteor I was talking about. They could continue to hear me, but they couldn't hear you. Do Not Disturb. If you've got someone in your favorites and they call you, it goes right through. We've learned that over time with this. So, you know what? If you have to reconnect every once in a while, I don't care. I'm watching TV nowadays, and they have this problem all the time. So we have been elevated as TV has come down to our level. We're now on their level. And if we have an occasional issue, it is no big deal. But the real point is DSR continues to roll, right? Now they've all got win, and they are just trucking 348, 349, 350 in whatever order they get. I was happy for Caps and Tobler, though, after their very challenging start to the season.
Well, yeah. And after the challenge in Indy, I mean, you look at what they've done at the 3 races in Indy. At the first race, they qualified awful and got beat. Okay, that's on us, right? We're the ones that qualified, 13th or 14th. Okay, that's on us. Brand new race car. We didn't have a handle on it. At the second race, they qualified, 4th or 5th. Hagen's the one that sucks in qualifying, and then all of a sudden they wake up on race day and they get beat again.
Yep.
So you go in there with, obviously a championship team and nothing to show for it. And then they come back this week, and at least, fortunately, they were able to stay away from their teammates in the early rounds and get out of that mess. It ended up Beckman and Hagen did run each other in the first round, but then they got on a little bit of a roll throughout the course of the day. J.R. Todd blew the tires off in the final. I can only assume they had some kind of a malfunction with his car, because that's just pretty unusual for them. But it wasn't going to matter to Caps. He did what they needed to do, and he got his Indy win. And he now is going to go into the U.S. Nationals with a lot of confidence, and his crew chief is going in with a lot of confidence. And they got a pretty good race car.
Well, and that is something that we haven't seen now. All these races and the weather adapting, and everybody lives there. This U.S. Nationals, and I think we need to say it, that Atlanta and the Southern Nationals was announced the other day on NHRA.com, have been canceled. And we understand, we are following the story of the pandemic. And the next race on tour will be the Denso Sparkplugs U.S. Nationals. And Ron Capps has got his Indy win, but he doesn't have a U.S. Nationals win yet. He's won on all the tracks on the tour. It's a great accomplishment. 65 career wins. Just amazing for Capps. Goes through Wilk, Blake, Bob Tasca, and JR, who kind of knocked him out for a U.S. Nationals win a couple of years ago. Capps has got to be very confident. We'll talk with him tomorrow, but great day of racing in Funny Car, like very fun and entertaining across the board, and just a good day of Funny Car racing.
I do want to say the same thing about Tasca that I said about Leah a few minutes ago, and you can just take that exact statement, put the name Bob Tasca in front of it. Really good race car. They're running good. They're qualifying well. They're knocking down rounds. They haven't busted through for a win yet, but that team is performing very well right now. And I think that I think Bob's happy. I think Zippy's happy. They just, need whatever the Sunday thing is that has to fall their way. Everybody says you got to have the lucky round. Like Torrance certainly got one in the final when he smoked the tires 15 times and still got away with it. But I think that car is going to be in the winner's circle and very, very soon.
It's very interesting to think about this championship. We've had the countdown versus non-countdown debate and argument, and this is like a test for the theory. Tommy Johnson Jr. leading the points, has never won a championship, 13 up on Jack Beckman, 28 up on Matt Hagan, and 102 up on Ron Capps. Had Capps not won this race, his championship hopes, depending on how he did, if he runnered up, but this win really gives his championship hopes life. 102 out is much more manageable than whatever it would have been with an amorphous season ahead. We don't really know what lies ahead. So it's going to be interesting. And Task is 118 back, JR 124 back. And then further on down, I think the championship hopes are kind of dimming.
But you understand Tommy Johnson might not be the point leader by the time we get to the U.S. Nationals.
Yeah, that's true, because Beckman could pass him.
If Beckman wins that final round on Saturday night, he will become the point leader. If Hagan wins that final round, then he will become second, 8 points out, and Jack will move back a notch. And all that'll happen before we even start racing on Sunday at the U.S. Nationals. So I think we need to make sure we make a point of mentioning this every time from here on out, that this year the U.S. Nationals will be contested on Sunday. Final eliminations are on Sunday. We're going to run sportsman cars on Thursday and Friday. There will be a qualifying session Friday afternoon. Pros will qualify on Saturday, but the final elimination race day, which has been Monday for as long as I've been doing this year will be Sunday. So everybody make sure you plan accordingly.
Absolutely. That is an excellent point. Now, here's a quick question that I don't know the answer to. And, I'm assuming you do, but maybe you don't. And if you don't, obviously we'll figure it out. But 1.5 points at Indy still, given all that's going on?
I believe so. I couldn't swear to that, but I believe so.
I haven't heard anything that said otherwise.
Yeah.
But, okay, so let's just assume that now that means even more, because we've had fewer races, a smaller sample size, and 1.5 points makes a big difference. I haven't heard it addressed. That doesn't mean it hasn't been addressed. We'll definitely dive in and get a clarification over the next week or so. But just something I was bantering about, and maybe someone had asked in my email. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that. I wish I'd have thought about it. I was on the same plane with Josh Peterson yesterday coming back, and I certainly could have got a clarification for that, but I hadn't thought about it either. I'm going to assume it is, because I think if it wasn't, there would have been some splash made about it, and I haven't seen that.
Right. Well, and that makes sense. So, the Indy winner has got a chance to really jump up there in the point standings. And yes, Sunday. I've had several people ask that question, making plans to be there on Monday. And it's like, no, man, that's not what's happening.
You'll be all by yourself.
You'll be all by yourself. Pro Stock, Jason Line, number one qualifier once again, but we are denied another retirement grudge match because it was a different Coughlin that takes out Jason in the semis. Jason made a hard right-hand turn right at the tree. Troy Coughlin Jr. and Jeg in the final round, and Jeg picking up the win. Just an amazing stat. Ties Tony Schumacher and wins the natural. And the natural versus the engine guy championship battle is looking really good down to the wire. A lot of interesting races in Pro Stock. Erica going red to Troy Coughlin, both 004, one on the good side, one on the evil side. Just a lot of interesting things out there.
Yeah, it was a fun race to watch. I mean, unless you're one of the Summit guys, then it sucks. But, you mentioned Jeg. He just keeps on keeping on. He's just as smooth and as easy and just keeps going down the racetrack. And he was very beatable in the semifinals because his car hooked it right when he let the clutch out. Not quite as violently as Jason's did, but he was racing Greg Anderson, and Greg broke the transmission in the burnout. When he rolled through the water box and started doing the burnout, there was a problem. They tried the burnout again, there was another problem. They finally got the thing to spin the tires, but sitting in the tower, it was pretty obvious that something's not right over there. Didn't know exactly what it was, but just there was something that wasn't right. It turned out when it was all said and done that fourth gear had disintegrated in the transmission in the water box. So Jeg went ahead and staged it Greg went ahead and staged it because why wouldn't you, right? I mean, if you shut it off, you're done. If you stage it, who knows what could happen. But he launched it, went first, second, third, and when it came time to go into fourth, there was no fourth gear. And that allowed Jaggy to get away. If I'm not mistaken, he went 676 at like 203. But he was way off pace of what the car had been running because it shattered the tire and turned right, but broken transmission for Greg, and he goes on. And then I looked up something at the Lewis Bloom coming out in me when Troy got into the final round, because Troy's driving a Mustang.
Right. I heard you say that. That was a great note.
The last time a Mustang won Pro Stock was 1977. Now, obviously, Bob Glidden in all of his heyday, in the late 70s, early 80s, Thunderbirds, Probe, Fairmont, but not in a Mustang. He ran a Mustang in his early days in his career, but the last Mustang was in the Winter Circle was 1977, and it wasn't Glidden, which is like even more interesting.
What'd you say, Dino Don?
Yeah, thanks for ruining that. I was going to say, for those of you who weren't listening, I'm going to save that for the next time it actually happens. But
sorry. Hey, this is WFO. It's a different audience, and you can't blame me for watching you on NHRA.TV. You already dropped it. You said it yesterday.
Yeah, but not everybody heard it. Wow. There's how many people watch NHRA.TV versus WFO radio? I figured I still had a secret, and you ruined it.
It's okay. I get it. It's this is public and that is subscription, but we'll see. Everybody keep it a secret from your friends. All right. Let Alan drop it on everybody that way. Erica going red. Was there a mini burn down there? I kind of heard you getting excited a little bit on the TV show. They kind of moved past it. Characterize that run in Elite Motorsports, 665.8, 665.3. She's fourth out to the evil side. I heard some intensity there. Tell me about that run.
You know what? I don't think there was any added intensity that there wouldn't have been if it had been Erica and anybody named Coughlin. TJ is still very early in his career, but, his name's Coughlin. And when you look at what he's done, he's already won in 3 different classes. He's been successful at everything that he's tried. I don't think we have a big enough sample size for Top Fuel to classify that as of yet, but he's been good. And I think Erica went up there understanding that I can't relax against this kid. And so, she pushed a little bit too hard, or she may have rolled in a little deeper than she intended. But, she is a 3-time champion. And at this point, I'm sure that she probably had put that behind her before she pulled the parachutes, right? It's like, damn, okay, let's go win the next race, because that's her mentality. What do we got to do from here? What happened back there is back there already. It's gone. So, it was a good day for Troy, his first final round in a Pro Stock car. And Erica's Erica. She will bounce back, and she will be as badass as she ever was by the time we get back to Indy in a couple weeks.
You're going to go red sometime. You might as well have it be in a run. I don't want to call it meaningless. It's definitely a meaningful run, but, against a quasi teammate in this particular race, we'll see how it all goes. And she's getting a real taste of the next generation of Pro Stock. Aaron Stanfield, first round, Troy Coughlin Jr., second round. How about that Hartford Bruno Massel race? Massel coming off the TV bench and giving Matt Hartford a real run for his money. That was a wild one, like 8th out.
Yeah, there were some fun races in the first round of Pro Stock. And, I thought Kid Koretsky against TJ was a good one too. 2 of the real newcomers to Pro Stock. Kenny Koretsky's kid versus Troy Coughlin's kid. That was a first round matchup. We're going to see a lot of that. For anybody, Pro Stock is dead. And, if, once Jag and Jason leave, who's left? Everybody not named Jason and Jag. Don't worry about it. Pro Stock is just fine. Thank you. And the Quadra family wasn't there this weekend. I was a little bit surprised about that. I thought that we would see a presence from them. I hope that means that they are home beating on the dyno and looking for a couple more horsepower, and that they are just getting their guns loaded up and getting ready to come back and blast off to the U.S. Nationals in a couple weeks. Jeg Coughlin leads the points by 44 over Jason Line. Jason doesn't want to let Jeg get out there too much, because Jeg is the natural after all, and he's clearly rolling. Erica 77 back in third, Greg 189 back. I'm calling it amongst those 3 already, Alan. Jeg Coughlin, Jason Line, Erica Enders, your championship hopefuls. Greg is 200 points back. He'd have to go on some sort of crazy run, and 3 great championship level cars would have to trip over their face. So I don't know. We've got a great championship battle already shaping up. I agree with you. I think, unless something really wacky happens during the rest of the season, I think your champion will be one of those 3. But I also would not put it past Greg to get in a situation where, he goes out and reels off 3 in a row. I think that, he certainly has the experience. For whatever reason, his car right now is a tick or a couple of ticks behind Jason's car. And if they could figure out what that issue is, then I think that would make him more of a contender. But the problem is just exactly as you laid it out. You laid it out perfectly. He's not chasing one guy; he's chasing three. If it's just Greg and Erica's got a 200-point lead. All right, well, if she goes out early one time, he cuts that in half, and all of a sudden you're back in it. But if you want to tell me that you honestly believe that Jeg and Jason and Erica are all going to be out first round or second round for the next 3 races in a row, let me know what the wager is, because I'll put up everything I got.
Right. And this is the downside. Like, this is, we're doing a real life experiment here, countdown versus non-countdown. So here we are. We've already, like, Alan is an expert, and I'd like to think I've got a pretty good feel of what's going on out there. There's 3 drivers who got a shot to win the Pro Stock World Championship with however many races left to go that we have. Upside, downside, like it, don't like it, who knows? It doesn't matter. It's just this is how we're calling it at the moment.
I like it. And, I wasn't opposed to the countdown to the championship. Countdown comes back in, then that's fine. But I like the mentality. And I think that's what you're seeing is mentality change, because we can test all summer as long as we're in the top 5 when we get to the countdown, then we'll make a championship run. You can't do that anymore.
Right.
And especially with only 2 qualifying sessions going into every race, that notches up the intensity, and that makes everybody push that much harder every round, whether it's qualifying and definitely every race. And I am all for it. I don't think there's downside. I think it's a plus. I think the fans are seeing great racing because, as they're saying, every round counts.
And to amend my thought about Erica, when you live in double O land like she does, every once in a while you're going to step over, and she rarely does. But in retrospect, it's not a meaningless round. Those are points. Every round matters. We'll have to see how it all goes towards the end of the year. Getting a lot of questions about the schedule, Alan. Like, everybody wants to know, how many more races after Indy, and what are we going to do, et cetera, and so on. And what is the line on that? I'm under the impression that they're all scheduled until they're not.
And the answer is, I don't know. And I don't think anybody does at this point. 2 weeks ago, I would have told you absolutely positively we're going to Atlanta. Atlanta looked good. The region looked good. NHRA is in constant contact with local authorities, with regional authorities, with whoever we need to make sure that we're okay. But that is just such a moving target. It's unbelievable. I think the fact that the Indy 500 is not going to have fans, stunning.
Yeah.
And yes, that was Roger Penske that made that decision. But it was because there was pressure, there was concern, there was with the officials around the racetrack. Is this a good idea? Is this something we should do? What about protocols? What about this? And it got to the point where Roger just said, no, okay, no. Now, the 2 racetracks are 6 miles apart. Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Lucas Oil Raceway are 6 miles apart, but they're in different counties. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is in Marion County. Lucas Oil Raceway Indianapolis is in Hendricks County. And Hendricks County has been watching what we're doing, has been working with the NHRA, and has been allowing us to continue to do what we do, and allowing us to bring in a few more fans and to continue to follow protocol. Marion County doesn't have, I don't know if it's whether that level of confidence, I don't know, but Marion County is not, it doesn't seem as accepting to putting a lot of people. And yes, even at 50% or even at 30%, there would be far more people going into Indianapolis Motor Speedway than there are coming to Lucas Oil Raceway.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, the 2 tracks are 6 miles apart, and the rules are different in one county and in the next county. And that's what NHRA is having to deal with all over the country. I told the story before, being at Lebanon Valley Dragway for 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
The health inspector came in on Friday afternoon and looked over the facility and said, okay, drag racing, you're okay. Circle track racing, you're not. And they ended up having to run the circle track race the 4th of July weekend with no fans, didn't sell a single ticket. But they came in and looked at drag racing and looked at what we were doing there at the regional event and said, okay, you guys are okay. You guys are good. You can go ahead and run your event. And that's what everybody's up against. That's why you look at NASCAR. One weekend, they've got some fans in the stands. The next weekend, they've got no fans in the stands. And every region is different. NHRA is not going to run without fans in the stands. It's as simple as that. And so when we look at, okay, Gainesville or Topeka we'd love to go back to Topeka in October. Love to. Do you know how fast that place would be? Holy smokes.
Yeah.
But we don't know if we're going to be allowed. And it's as simple as that. If they allow us to go, we'll be there. And so for me right now to say, okay, here's the schedule, this is absolutely going to happen, I can't. And neither can anybody else at this point.
Right.
We are just constantly talking. And as I've said before, the real big fear, and this is between NHRA and between the teams and between the sponsors and everybody involved. Okay, let's pack everything up and let's go to Castello Raceway down in Florida for the Nationals. It all looks good. Everybody drives down there. Guys are on airplanes, all the stuff, the infrastructure. Okay, we're ready to go. And then the Castello County health inspector comes in and goes, yeah, no, I changed my mind. You can't do this. And that is literally tens of thousands of dollars per team that is just wasted. And right now, nobody can afford that. Everybody's doing what they can do to get by. The vast majority of the sponsorship has been cut a little bit for no other reason than we're not going to all the races, right? If I'm paying you, hey, Joe, I'm going to sponsor your show for 24, I'm going to sponsor 24 shows.
Right.
Call me back and go, hey, Alan, yeah, we're only going to do 15 shows. But you're still going to pay for 24, right? You're good with that?
Yeah.
No. And so everybody's having to operate under some kind of restriction or constriction. And that's one of the reasons that Indianapolis is so friendly. The travel costs are minimal for most of the Nitro teams. There are a few of them that are still having to drive in, but for most of them. And we know that the local government is going to be flexible. They're going to work with us. We've been literally jumping through hoops to show them that we're willing to follow the rules so that we can keep racing. And it's a question that I get pretty regularly. Are you wearing a mask while you're announcing? Yes, I am. Because that's the rules. And if we are going to tell the spectators, you need to do this, then we have to do it as well. And so, that's just the world that we live in right now. And so I hope what's on the schedule all happens. Is it going to? I honestly don't know. If I had to decide right now, yes or no, are we going to race in Pomona? If we were going to do it next week, the answer is absolutely no.
Right.
But since that's not on the schedule until November, the hope is by the time we get there, the answer will change to yes. And just at this point, nobody knows.
Monica says, hate seeing all the negativity out there. Wish everyone was a little more understanding about why NHRA is doing what they're doing. I agree in that, our racing, oh my gosh, we can't run exactly how we want to run our racing. Meanwhile, there are people whose family members have been lost. There's a lot going on beyond our personal good time. I'm actually thrilled to watch the racing. We have something. We've had racing. I got to enjoy Alan and Brian and Tony, and I got to see and sit and enjoy NHRA drag racing somewhat in a world that is right now, there's no guarantees. And so I think it's a perspective thing.
I'm sorry, Joe. One of the things that I've run into quite a bit is, from fans that are, I don't know, angry is the right word, or disappointed is the right word, or that have done absolutely no research. And you don't have to have a PhD in research to figure some of this stuff out.
Right.
There was an email in my announcer box, literally just this past weekend, that's like, I see you had a few fans there. I can't believe those idiots are paying that kind of money. They're not getting to see the whole show. They don't get to do everything. It's ridiculous that you charge that kind of money for tickets and, you don't get to do all the stuff that you normally do. It's just not the same, and it's not fair, and it's not worth it. And I wrote back and I said, yo, dude, a Saturday, Sunday ticket last weekend was $50. Now, normally the Sunday ticket is, depending on the racetrack, no less than 50, in some places as much as 75 or 80, depending on the racetrack. And you get to come out. If you want, you get to go on the pit walk. You get to go on the track walk. You get to come to pre-race. If you come out Saturday, you get to come to Nitro School. You get autograph sessions you get all of this stuff. And that's part of your program. That's part of what you're paying for. Well, you're not getting that now. You're just not. And the tickets don't cost as much either. I mean, all you got to do is look, and the guy, same email, it's like, why would I buy a Friday ticket if you're not running Nitro cars? Gee, I don't know, because we're running every other car and it's $15.
Yeah.
I mean, if NHRA said, okay, hey, look, the Friday ticket's $65, and oh, by the way, you're not going to see anything faster than stock Eliminator. All right, I get it. But that's not the case. NHRA understands the show is not the same. There are a number of fan activities that are just not allowed right now. There's not things, and there are things that we push, right? We love the fact that the fans can get all the interaction with the drivers. That has now been curtailed to a degree. We love the fans coming in, for, like I said, what it is, winter circle or track walk, or all of these other added things. How many times the autograph session we'll do on Saturday? There'll be a pro stock motorcycle autograph session. There'll be a pro stock autograph session. There'll be all of these things that are fan activities that we want the fans to take part of. We can't do that anymore. And ticket prices have been adjusted accordingly. So, we want our fans to come out and but more important than anything, we need to have races. We need to put cars on the racetrack. Having it on television is certainly a bonus, but we need to have cars on the racetrack. There's an industry that involves around NHRA racing, and we need to keep that industry afloat, even though this isn't going to be our best year or most profitable year for anybody, but we need to keep the industry afloat, and that's what NHRA is doing right now.
Good point. Good way to say it. The original point you addressed, ignorance or failure to research to eliminate ignorance. The information is all out there. You can go and find it and understand it, depending on how much time you want to put into it. That's up to you as a fan. And you said it before. I think the WFO people are probably not those people, right? I think the WFO people, if you listen to the show just through osmosis, you're going to get beyond that a little bit. All right, let's talk about probably the most popular win of the weekend. It's debatable, but I think that's my call. Angel wins on a Harley. Gets it done in a big way. If you followed Angel's social media during this whole COVID deal, she's been exercising and lifting. You definitely don't want to get mixed up with Angel right now. Goes out there and gets through Andrew, second round, Scotty in the semis, Chris Bostic, who had a amazing weekend with a 001 after a starting line thrash with the clutch cable. Just cosmic, but I'm so happy for her because... And she wears her emotions on her sleeve. She lets everybody know she was struggling with this transition to the team that she deemed, the New York Yankees, right? As a Yankee fan, I've had this conversation with her. There are some people who just can't play in the pinstripes. The uniform is too heavy. All the extra associated BS that comes with being a Yankee. Sorry, non-Yankee fans, this is real. They can't carry it. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's how I feel. She can carry the weight, Alan. She got a win. She won at Indy. She went through Andrew, and she got it done in style. I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, it was definitely a popular win, no question. I want to start with the first round, though. I was really disappointed. She was supposed to run Steve Johnson, and Steve Johnson was unable to answer the bell in round number one. I put up a fan poll on Saturday night, and it's going to be something that I'm going to do from here on out. Not necessarily every category, but I'm going to try to pick 2 or 3 if there's some compelling matchups, and just leave it to the fans. Hey, pick a side. Who do you want to win this race? And I picked Saturday night when qualifying was over, Angel and Steve Johnson. They are the 2 longest tenured in the category that are out there racing right now. And there certainly have been, I don't want to say rivalry, but, Steve has been known to chirp a little bit, and Angel's certainly not afraid to give it back to him from time to time. And I thought this is going to be a fun one. And then Steve was unable to answer the bell, and I hated the fact that Steve couldn't be there to race. But that was her first run of the day. And then you mentioned Andrew. And in the final, and it was kind of funny because I talked to Eddie Krawick after the race, Eddie and Andrew both, about, what exactly was that on the starting line? What was going on? And they told me the story. And Drew said, it was the funniest thing. He looked at me and he said, I was beginning to think that Gianna had just broken the whole class, right? Like nobody else is allowed to win that's ever won before, ever since she just completely broke the whole class.
That's it.
But, and Chris Bostic had a dream day. He didn't have a great motorcycle. I mean, he had an okay motorcycle, but when he needed good fortune, he got it. Whether Ryan Ayler, I don't know if he flinched or if he relaxed or what, but it's like, come on, man, really? There's huge hole shot loss in that particular matchup. And Chris was primed to be the 3rd consecutive first-time winner. And I couldn't tell you when's the last time that happened. We had to go back 16 years to find 2 consecutive first-time winners. I couldn't tell you when's the last time there was 3, but I guarantee it had been a long, long time.
Yeah, the bad reaction times. I even made a note, just, bad reaction times, just missing it. And I think it comes like no one's grooving yet. Pro Stock Motorcycle, isn't this just the 2nd race of the season? So everyone's rusty. And you're seeing it, like those big moments, once everybody gets dialed in and in a groove, they happen less often, especially with the championship caliber teams. But right now, it's a great time for a guy like Chris Bostic, et cetera, Ryan Ayler, Scotty Polachek. But Angel winning for Harley is so much bigger than anything, because she's probably one of the biggest names in our sport, biggest single name in pro stock motorcycle, winningest female racer, and now she's won on one of the greatest American icon brands. I would like to think they should be able to do something with that.
Yeah, I would think so. And for those that are interested, the final round was a clutch malfunction. They had a problem in the pits and knew that they had a problem with it and went, okay, look, we can just put this quick Band-Aid on it. It'll be fine for one run. No problem. And then they went to the starting line and it was a problem. And what the original fix was to back the adjuster out to give her more movement on the clutch handle. Anybody that's ever worked on a motorcycle, matter of fact, I can probably show you. Can we?
Oh yeah, let's go. Glad to end show. You happen to have a motorcycle around, Alan? What'd you have?
I turned the lights off on the other side of my shop, so let me turn this. Oh, you know what?
Do whatever you want to do, man. We are cool.
Mine doesn't have that adjuster on. Hang on.
Alan Reinhart takes us on a voyage. And right now is when I'll tell you about WFO Radio sponsors Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Check them out, totalseal.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com, samtech.edu, and Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. Now back to Alan at Wild West Engineering.
Well, my bike doesn't have this, so I apologize for that. But most motorcycles, this is the clutch lever. You can see right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then right here where the clutch cable goes into the lever, there's an adjustment that you would knock the thing loose and you can move it out back and forth to adjust how much free play there is in your clutch. Well, that's where they started with the fix. What they needed to do was back that lever out, or back that adjuster out a little bit. Of course, it's locked in place. So, okay, we got to break this thing loose. What do? Here comes Antron Brown. Remember, he's Angel's cousin-in-law, married to Angel's cousin, and comes over. Doesn't have tools, but he's got a key ring.
Right.
So they busted off 3 of Antron's keys trying to get this thing loose. And I don't know if Antron was ever able to get in his house last night or not. He might still be sleeping on the porch. Finally, somebody comes over with a screwdriver. They're able to bust the lock ring loose, crank it out. Still not enough. Meanwhile, Bostic is waiting patiently. Now, probably fortunately for them, the pro stock cars were running behind as well. Because even though we were running over in TV time, if the pro stock cars had been sitting behind them ready to go, they might have run out of time. But since the pro stock cars weren't there yet, they had some time. So they took the lever off down where the clutch cover goes on, and you can ask Angel about this when you have her on tomorrow, and actually repositioned the lever, and then went back and repositioned everything. And basically they told her, your bike is fine. Take a deep breath, get it out of your head, go. And she cuts a 001 light and wins the race. The actual funniest thing I heard about between the broke Antron's keys, Andrew told me that once they got it all together, she does the burnout. It's like, okay, we're confident now that the bike is going to be okay. If she does her job, we're confident the bike's okay. We think we got a good job. Andrew stands behind her when she rolls up the stage. Okay, you've seen this 1,000 times down on the starting. And he said, they're like, look, take a deep breath. Your bike is okay. You're going to be fine. And so he's standing behind her, and he said she's rolling forward, and almost imperceptibly he can see her head move. Just, millimeters. And he said the farther she went forward, the more it was like this. No. She's thinking about it. And he says, the farther she got to this, and pretty soon she was just about to be an owl. And so, when they came up, wind her up, and one more time went over, and it's like, you're going to be fine. Do your job. You're going to be fine. She takes a deep breath, gets a 001 light, and wins the 43rd race of her career. But it was one of those, one, it's obviously going to be special because it's her first on a Harley. 2, just the way it went down, right? The whole thing. You got a guy over here that's living the dream, could potentially win his first one by beating Angel.
Yeah.
That's not backing into it. I don't care if she's got mechanical problems or not. You still tell your grandkids, my first win, I beat her. And you've got all of this stuff going on. And she makes it happen with a 001 light and a good solid run. So, that'll be one, when she writes her memoirs or at some point in the history of NHRA Pro Stock motorcycle racing, they're going to go back and go, everybody remember this from 2020, Indy 3, let's go to the final round. And good for her, because I think what might end up, and only time will tell, but I've been following this a long time, and I've known Angel since she started racing out here literally 25 years ago, okay? Her confidence is going to be the biggest thing that comes out of this, because putting her on a pro stock Harley is like, she felt like, I have to prove I'm worthy of this. I have to prove I can do the job. I have to go out and perform. And she was putting a lot of pressure on herself. There's no doubt about it. And, did she make some mental errors along the way? Absolutely. She would tell you the same thing. But how many times over the years have we talked about it? There's a difference between, I believe I can do this, and okay, I know I can do this because I just did it. And now she knows she can do this because she just did it. And that is going to be, I believe, time will tell, but I really believe that's going to be the biggest thing that comes out of this win, is her confidence. When she goes up to the starting line now, it's not going to be, okay, you got to show these guys. It's going to be, okay, let's show these guys again.
Right.
And there's such a different mentality when you're pulling up to the starting line, or when you're, snapping the football, or when you're standing at the, whatever it is. If anybody that plays sport understands the mentality of, I know I can do this, I know I can do this, and watch me do this again.
Yeah,
and that's
I agree. Championship threat. Remember, her prime directive for coming back was so that her daughter could see her be this, winning racer that she had heard of. And she did get a win. I guess it was in E-Town, but now she's got another win and on a Harley. And I think we may have just unleashed something, especially, she said riding the Harley was a more challenging physical exercise, and all that working out that she's been doing that we've been watching on Instagram, those of us who follow. I'm sure they're connected. I'm sure like she had to change her body to wrestle the bike in a way that she can get it down through there. And now she has, watch out, because Ryan Ayler is the points leader. She's 4 points out of the lead. Matt Smith, 7 points out of the lead. Eddie Krawick, 28 points out of the lead. Andrew Hines, 40 points out of the lead. Scotty Polachek, just 44 points away from his first championship. He's right in the middle of it. Heck, there's only been 2 races, but still, like, there's going to be a championship out there decided. It is impossible to handicap pro stock motorcycle just yet. Did I somehow took you out of the feed, but now you're back.
My phone started ringing again, and it cut me out, and you went. And so while you were doing that, I flipped, but I just ignored John Force for you, just so you know.
Telling me big mistake, Al. You should have brought him on. But yes, a wide open championship.
Remember where you heard it. You haven't heard the last of Ryan Ayler. He made a mental error this week. There's no question about it. But he has got a fast motorcycle. And I'm not saying he's going to win the championship. I'm not going to say he's going to win 6 races, but I'm telling you, you have not heard the last of Ryan Ayler. He is going to be a threat. He is going to be a part of this as we chase the championship down to the wire. And again, not knowing for sure, how many races we have left. And even the motorcycle people, I'm sure they, as with pro stock car to a point, are wondering, okay, we know we're going to run the U.S. Nationals in a couple of weeks, but what are we going to do after that? And, being ready to go, because if it's like, okay, look, we've made an adjustment to the schedule, guys. You weren't supposed to be here, but we're going to be racing at Castello Raceway next weekend. Come on, let's go. And being able to pack up and be ready to go.
Amazing. All right. Pro modified, final round. It's like all Ricky all the time. Jonathan Gray, Bo Butner. Bo, amazing. He was on with us on Saturday. Bo and Randy Lynn brought us around. We got to see their pit area. We got to see their new sponsor and scheme, which is, cool on many levels. And then they go out to the final round. We had a burn down, just all kinds of fun stuff in pro mod. But Jonathan Gray, who, quiet guy, Tanner Gray, Shane Gray, Jonathan Gray, just shows the racing and driving DNA is deep in the Gray family. He's an excellent racer and goes out and gets the win.
Yeah, it really looked like, the turbo cars and the Pro Charger cars maybe had the advantage. It was certainly cooler earlier in the weekend. And then when it warmed up on Sunday and the humidity comes up, that plays a little bit more into the nitrous cars' hands. But yeah, the burn down was epic between Steve and Chris. And I will tell you this, the next time those two faced each other, Steve ain't staging. I mean, he might pull up and shut his car off, but he ain't staging. And it'll be fun to watch. You know, rivalries are what the sport was built on. You need stuff like that to happen. So, you know, we'll see. But no, it was a great day for Ricky Smith. You know, I said going into the final, you know, Ricky Smith races himself, and he's not driving either car. Even Troy Williams has never done that.
Right.
I mean, and, you know, and Troy Williams Jr. is pretty damn good, but even he's never done that. But no, good day for Ricky, good day for them, and you know, we'll see the Pro Mods again here in just a couple of weeks because they're going to be part of the Denso Sparkplug US Nationals as well. Also, the news was out on NHRA.com, but in case anybody missed it, class eliminations, you know, was announced a long time ago was not going to take place at Indy. There would be no class eliminations for stock and super stock. However, the Mopar Hemi Challenge will, even though that is technically class eliminations for the super stock Hemi cars. That is really a separate race with the Mopar sponsorship and all the hoopla that goes along with it. So that is still on. That race will still take place at the U.S. Nationals. And I know that there's a lot of fans. There's a lot of fans literally that come to see that. There's a few of the racers that come to see that. You know, there's a lot of the Hemi guys. They'll come and they'll run the Hemi Challenge. And whether they qualify for eliminations or not, that's not why they're there. You know, they come to run the Hemi Challenge. And then of course, you know, can anybody stop Jimmy Daniels? And the answer to that is to be determined.
TBD. The kid is amazing stuff. And speaking of Chris Thorne, points leader, 145 by 1 over Jonathan Gray, Jason Scruggs, 130, Chad Green, 129. And you mentioned Stevie Fast. I liked it. And that's exactly, it's a lesson to all these other drivers out there that, you know, Stevie is the guy who's on the top of the pinnacle and he is talking loud and talking smack and not afraid to tell you he's going to crush you. And that's great. And this guy just went up there and got in his face and beat him. And so now what does that mean? Well, it means the next time we see Stevie Fast, we're going to see an even more interesting and compelling battle. And that's why we watch this stuff. So this guy just kind of got in the, not that Stevie's a bully, because he's not, but to use the metaphor, somebody just backed him down and we'll see what happens. And I expect Stevie Fast to come back strong.
Well, I don't think it's so much of a, you know, hey, I did this because it's a mental game and I wanted to get in your head. I think I did this because I have a turbo car and the turbo cars like to stage last and the turbo cars probably are better when they stage last. And that's why Stevie wanted him to go first. You know, about the fourth time that Brad Hardy, the starter, went up the starting line and went, it was going to be over for both of them pretty quick. And so Stevie went ahead and went in and staged. But, you know, time will tell. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the next time those race. I don't think there'll be any issue whatsoever if it's a qualifying run, because who cares?
Right.
You know, at that point, you just both want to make a good run. But if those guys race again on race day at Indy, when they pull up and stage, I'm going to go get ice cream because I'll be back plenty of time. Plenty of time.
And someone just mentioned that Jim Whiteley and Stevie are going to swap cars down there in, I guess, St. Louis in a couple weeks. Going to be kind of interesting in one of those Midwest Pro Mod races. Final thought.
Stevie, if he means Stevie's going to drive the funny car,
yes,
that's definitely going to happen. Stevie's going to drive the funny car down there. Yeah.
I think that's cool because Stevie always, you know, he's a Pro Mod guy, but he likes to drive whatever he wants, and he's made his Top Fuel aspirations very well known. And so to see that happen, other winners from the weekend in the Division 3 race, Rachel Meyer just dropping some big performances on everyone at Top Alcohol Dragster. Johnny Lindbergh, that was kind of part of the Richie Crampton deal. Like they were towing that winning car with Richie's 57. So they had tasted victory. Brian Browl in competition eliminator, Mark Nowicki in super stock, Parker DeVore in stock, Chris Dodd super comp, Justin Lopes. Hey, Justin, way to go. Super gas, Ricky Ship in super street, Lester Johnson in top sportsman, Aaron Stanfield, top dragster. So Aaron getting it done in top dragster, Jonathan Gray, we just mentioned in pro mod, Randall Andrus, again, top fuel Harley, Bill McCarty. And this is the best part about the whole deal. Pro ET winner, Bill McCarty, Johnny.
That was actually from Indy 2. That was from Indy 2. That was part of the rain.
Okay. Mountain Motor Pro Stock was Johnny Placino and Ty Davis in Super Pro. I guess that was also part of the rain out from the previous one. But how awesome is that? A bracket racer gets to win a bracket race at an NHRA national event. The story of their life, I'm sure. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was neat having those guys there. I think that, you touched on the Mountain Motor cars, but I want to go just for a minute. Sure.
Those guys put on a heck of a show. It was amazing having them there with only 2 qualifying sessions like we do with the rest of them. this was their debut race for the season because of, again, the way the schedule all got hodgepodge and everything, but it's the first time we'd seen them. Number one qualifier was a 6:26. The top six were all over 200. Actually, the top seven were over 220 miles an hour. There were 11 of them, I believe, or 10 or 11 that came, but they put on a heck of a show. They had some great racing. Johnny Ticino winning in the final round over Elijah Morton was just the icing on the cake. But those guys, it's fun to watch them. The numbers are incredible. They are all very professional. They're very clean operations, and they're certainly an add to NHRA. It was great to see him on the racetrack. I don't know when we're going to see him again, but I hope it's going to be very soon.
Absolutely. Quick and fast hot rods, great personalities, great people. And, when quick and fast cars come rolling out from under the tower, you're paying attention. Final thoughts, Alan, before we let you go. Really appreciate what you're doing here. Once again, Ron Capps on Gel tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. That'll be our final show of this particular week on WFO Radio. Got something going towards the end of the week. But final thoughts, any observations or things you may have seen as we get ready for the Denso Spark Plugs U.S. Nationals?
No, I just, I want to kind of end where we started. It was a tremendous race. The weather gods were pretty good to us all weekend long. It was a little bit warmer on Sunday, but, everything got done, everything that was scheduled. No bad on-track activity. We had, a couple of little minor incidents, but nothing. And then, of course, what the weekend's going to be remembered for is the highway accident on Sunday night. And I just, again, want to send out, all of my best wishes and all of my positive thoughts to Dom and to Richie. Jake has already gone home, but he's still, I understand, going to be recovering for a while. So, as a racing family, we're going to be thinking about our family members that are hurt. We're going to be thinking about them for a long time.
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. I couldn't have said it better. Alan, great job as usual. See you next week. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Indy is next again.
Yeah, I got to go call John Force back and see if he ignores me now, because I got one coming.
Tell Force, you're talking to Castello. He'll understand.
That worked? All right. I'll let you know.
All right.
Thanks,
Later.
you.
Bye. Thank you. There he goes. Alan Reinhart, voice of the NHRA. Really appreciate when Alan does for WFO Radio. And at the start of the show, and everybody, I want to say a couple of things about Dom. I did touch on it at the very beginning, and Jake and Richie and all that went down. I do want to get into that. But given the intense nature of the opening of the show and that we're talking about something that matters more than anything, I do want to take a second to tell you about the people who make this show possible. Like, this show doesn't just happen. It's not just something that it does because we have sponsors and like guys like Marvin Rodak and Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com, hot sauces and spice rubs and everything to make your grilling experience better and your daily experience better. Great guy. He had him on the show last week and he taught us the modified reverse sear grilling technique, which I immediately put to use on Saturday night and had a great experience. It was really crazy. 2.5, take it off for 7 minutes, then finish it up. And I had such a great steak. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. He is on our WFO Radio Facebook page. Also, samtech.edu, Brian Massengill, Linda Judd, the whole family down there. They created a school to teach basically the backbone of motorsports, engine building, machining, CNC machining, motorsport EFI tuning, all of these things. And where would our hobby or our career be without the next generation, whoever it is? And it could be you. Go to samtech.edu. Of course, tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Really appreciate that family for what they have done. Samtech.edu with their support of WFO Radio. Frank and Lana Hawley, their drag racing school has been taking people who have been interested in racing for many, many years and turning them into racers, licensed racers, and champions. They can do it with you. You can get your super gas license like this one. And you got Frank in the background just like that. Or you could go on the dragster adventure and actually race against your friends like these guys. Whatever you decide to do, give him a call, frankhawley.com. And I know what you're thinking. We only saw that guy do a burnout. Can he get down the racetrack? And the answer is yes. With Frank Hawley looking over his shoulder, he is definitely going to get down there and have a good deal. These companies, and we got some new ones coming on, and we're always reaching out to make new relationships for people who understand that the WFO universe, our listeners, are very devout and passionate, and they support our sponsors, and I encourage you to do as well. Thank you very much. And Steve Brenwald does our graphic arts and everything, and et cetera. All right. You know where to get our WFO radio t-shirts, nitrofishracing.com. And Bo and Randy Lynn on the other day, the promo code WFO20. You're going to save 20% at nitrofishracing.com. And I have got these WFO radio face coverings. We're about to send them out to Nitrofish, so you can get a combo, the t-shirt. And I'm soliciting people to, if you want these, I'll give you, but I'm not telling you to do that right now because I've already lost control of the operation. Yeah, just like that, 2 weeks in. Names and PayPals and I got to stop. I got to put the brakes on it until I get a better system figured out with PayPal, etc. But right now, I want to talk about Dom and Bobby Lagana. I want to talk about these guys. You know, racers. Who are they? What are they? We all know Dom and Bobby, but they are brothers, and they are their parents' children. And we got to hang with them earlier this year, and just two of the nicest guys going. And that family is obviously hurting right now, because they, Dom involved in this incident, and you can Google search it, and Dom's, he's going to have to fight hard. He's going to have to fight hard. What they have already given to the sport of drag racing, you got to think about the teams that are out there. And if you look at the qualifying sheet, all these smaller teams that have kind of come into the sport, like the era of the super team, certainly it still exists with Coletta and Don Schumacher. Of course, John Force will return, but how have these smaller teams, guys like Scott Palmer and others, been able to do what they do to get involved and be out there and compete at this very high level? And Dom and Bobby are a big part of it, knowing and understanding and going over there and helping and hanging out, etc. And so, again, road accident on the way back from a victory, heading back to the shop. And now, Dom is in a situation where he has to fight. And I'm just hoping that everybody that is part of this NHRA drag racing and motorsport community locks arms together and does whatever we have to do to be helpful. Positive energy. It's a great thing. Prayer, whatever you do in times like this, I ask you to do it for Dominic. And, I guess he has a birthday coming up or just about to happen. He's going to get married real soon. Just so many wonderful things happening because this guy is a great guy, and he needs our positive energy right now. So please do that. This is one that hits just so close to our drag racing family, and it is very sad. Final comments, get them up in the comment section right now, and I will read and I will go down your comment section. Those of you who watched the WFO pre-race show, the one and only, saw Ron Capps, who goes on to win the race, and Matt Hartford join us. I really liked doing it because I was here. I do not like doing it because I would have rather have been there. I do not know when I will be at a NHRA national event again. I certainly hope to be at the U.S. Nationals, but you never know. And I do not feel empowered to complain about anything in this world that we're living in right now. I am willing to ride it out, go along with the program. I talk about my dad all the time, my true hero in my life, my dad and my mom together. But my dad, as a United States Marine Corps drill instructor, has taught me many, many things, positive and negative. And sometimes you just got to mark time, go along with the program. Right now, this is not a situation that I can change through any of my actions. I've just got to do what I do and stay highly motivated and be available and be positive and do what I can do. So on Sunday morning, when there's something I can do, there's drag racing fans sitting around doing nothing, I'm going to fire up and do a pre-race show. And we had a good number, and we introduced the show to some new people, and that was great. If I'm not at an event, I think I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to do that because I love this sport of drag racing. It's the people, it's the cars, it goes beyond any one group of people or organization or sponsor. It goes beyond that. It's a mindset. It's a mentality. It's been a part of our country for 60 plus years. It's a direct connection to our great World War II victory, saving the world from fascism. I love all of that about drag racing. And much of it is lost. People don't know a lot about history period. And Alan says people don't want to bother to do the research to know anything. No, they don't. We're in kind of a weird world right now. And you're not going to get everybody to change their minds or do research or question their own thoughts and beliefs. Like, you're never going to get anybody to do that. You just got to just try real hard to set a positive example and worry about you. We've got a tough time in the world. We got a tough time in the sport. We got a tough time in our country and economy, and whatever I can do to try to be helpful, not hurtful, positive, not negative. That's my true north right now. That's what I'm trying to do. And anyone who wants to, help do that, let's figure something out. All right. Final comments. Let's see. Kev talking about how Bobby and Dom helping people over there in the European drag racing scene. Absolutely. That's a big part of their deal. Kathy, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Alan. Great show as always. I like to think we could put on a pretty good show. The Sunday morning deal, I actually got a little nervous for a second. I get nervous. I still do. Like, what if there's something that happened that I don't fully know or understand, having watched all day on NHRA.tv? Like, maybe I missed something. And inevitably, someone is going to ask me about that. Tim Charlet, not sure if you remember, but in 2011, I believe, Dom raced at the Vegas Fall National event with a Big O tire support. He reached the final round, but with every round win, they'd whack the throttle an additional time during the warm-up. By the time the pre-final warm-up came up, they whacked it 4 times. It was the most epic moment I've ever witnessed in drag racing, says Tim. Yeah. Was I there? I don't think I was there. That was before I started in 2012. Mr. Fry, Bob Fry, the legend, was still going there. And my tenure at the NHRA started the following year. I was watching on TV, but I missed the throttle wax. But their willingness to do that. I know I was rooting for Dom, because I root for Dom because he's the little guy, and I root for the underdog as often as I can, and the best story. And now that I cannot have an attachment to any particular racer, I root for the best story, and Dom winning a race would be the best story, no matter what, no matter who's in the other lane. Not only the smaller teams, but new racers that they put in the car. It's very sad. Yes, Ashley Sanford. Think about that. Tim sending the video of the moment. Thank you, Tim. It is on there. Tim, how about our buddy Joe Morrison, by the way? Top fuel racer, going out there, giving it a run. Joe Morrison was in that race, folks. It was a battle. And they did exactly what they had to do with the Leverage car. Good job, Team Leverage. Good job. Thank you, Jim. Another great show. Yes. Kev, back out there. Pre-show was awesome. Run Caps, Lucky Charm. You should tell Ron that. We'll tell him tomorrow. Don't worry. Yeah, short week this week. Wednesday only. 4 p.m. Angel and Ron Caps. And that will be our show. And that gives us Jeg and hopefully Steve the following week or the week before Indy. Got to space it out. Anyone on here ever win race in Joe's car? I don't know what that means. Unless like Dwayne McDaniel is on there and he has not made himself known. He would be the only guy who's ever raced my car other than me. Little Mac, great friend. The guys who basically, hooked us into this sport, right? There's a whole scheme. I'll tell that story another day. Today's not the day. I'm a little down. I want to be positive when I tell that story. Pre-race was great. And if you listen to the Ignition show, I told another total tease to everybody. I got this great story, and I didn't tell the story. You'll get it eventually. That's why you got to subscribe. You got to listen to all WFO. This is not that kind of show where you can just pop in and out every once in a while. You miss a lot of stuff. Monica, my 13-year-old, loves to learn about the roots of drag racing. And she reached out for a couple of masks. Monica, we're going to make it happen. Dave Lugwood, thanks for the coverage. Yes. Thank you, Dave. People's champ, Joe Morrison. People's person. Because Joe is a guy. Such a good guy. Simple as that. Jim Norris. Dwayne is on here. I can't see him, Jim. I guessed. How about that? A premonition. Dwayne McDaniel. One of the best bracket racers that I've ever known. And could have done amazing things. This is going back to the 80s and early 90s. And really is mostly responsible for me knowing and understanding the methods of bracket racing at the time that I did. Dwayne, his dad, Ernie, his brother, Ernie Jr., and his sister, Dale, and also Jason Bailey, people who taught me, this is what you do. You do not, it's really hard to learn without someone telling you, this is what you do. If you have someone who's really good, who could just tell you, this is what you do, situational awareness. If this, then that. If this, then that. Do this. And then make it your own. And that's why I won a high school track championship, a super pro track championship, and multiple things. But the best story with Dwayne in our own car getting down into the semifinals of the 5-day bracket race in a 12-second street car off the street. They made us tear our window tinting off and lost to Steve Cohen in the final round. Cohen, who went on, I guess, and won the race that day. Let's see. Look at you, Little Mac, getting pub. Dom came over to Leverage Racing on Saturday and found a problem in their hydraulics of the clutch system. Issue fixed, so watch out. Good. And that will be a tribute to Dom. Joe Morrison did a great job over the weekend. And finally, Shani. Thanks, Joe. Great show. Positive energy up, all involved in the accident. Absolutely. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. And thank you very much to everybody who participates with this show. And that'll do it. Again, quick name check to the sponsors. These people who make it possible. They pay money for this, folks. They pay money. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Keith Jones calling me on the other line right now. TotalSeal.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Samtech.edu. And Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. Hot sauces, spice rubs, everything good. Check out Marvin Rodak. He's the man. And I got a little brand new Rodax here today. Thank you, everyone. Remember, 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Hopefully we don't step on the NHRA broadcast of Brian Loans and Alan Reinhart, but I am pressed to do it on Wednesday. We're going to have Caps lead the show. We're going to have Angel and a whole lot of fun. If you haven't been to WFOradio.com lately, go to the website. You can pretty much find everything that we've got there, whether it be subscriptions for the podcast or our great sponsors or otherwise. And we're working on making it better and better. And really, I want to start streaming directly there. Do you think you guys could handle that? Going to WFOradio.com at a certain time on a certain day and just watching there? I don't know. Something I'm working on. YouTube, WFO Radio TV, all that stuff. Why would I want to do that? I'll give you my methodology, man. I don't know. I kind of don't like the idea that Facebook is the conduit and they can turn up the volume and turn down the volume whenever they want. Like turn it up and get you hooked and then turn it down and down and down until you start paying for advertising and then turn it back up. Like, makes me feel a little weird. Maybe I should just stream to WFOradio.com. Maybe. I don't know. Just something I'm thinking about. And I like to let the audience behind the curtain because I got a lot of smart people that listen to this show. Maybe you guys have got a better idea than I've got. I'm okay with that. Or maybe your idea is terrible, and then I'll just tell you about it. Wow, that's a bad idea, man. What are you doing to me? But at least we have it. Thank you, Dale. All right, everybody. That's going to do it. Prayers for Dom, Richie, Jake. We're with you guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. WFO.